So there's a story in the Old Testament I want to talk about today. You remember the prophet Elijah, right? This is his successor, Elisha, right? Elisha is the prophet in the land now in Israel. This is the divided kingdom, Judah and Israel. He's up there in Israel. And Israel is at war with Aram, or however you want to say, A-R-A-M, right? The Arameans, with them. They're at war, right? And the king of Aram, he gets with his military advisor and said, okay, let's go have a military build-up over here in this spot, and let's take Israel by surprise. Well, every time he does that, Elisha sends word to the king of Israel, hey, don't go over there to that spot because the king of Aram is fixing to build up over there, so stay away. So eventually, the king of Aram says, calls in his advisor and says, which one of y'all is a traitor? Every time I try to do a military operation, it's like they already know what's going on. They're already aware of what's happening. And one of them says to him, Elisha the prophet knows the very words you're speaking in the bedroom, in your own bedroom. And he tells the king of Israel, and he says to his advisors, then where is Elisha? And they said, well, he's in Dothan, right? Which is a city in Alabama, by the way, but anyway, I digress. So he sends a big mass of troops to Dothan, right? And surrounds the city with chariots and horses and soldiers, all in their full military garb and all that stuff. And that morning, Elisha's servant goes outside and he sees this vast army that has gathered around the city, and he comes running back in. My father, what are we going to do? We're surrounded by the Arameans. Have you ever felt surrounded by? Have you ever been there, right? Have you ever been there, felt like? I know I have. And Elisha, cool as a cucumber, said, the ones that are for us are more than those that are against us. And he prayed to the Lord. He said, Lord, open his eyes and let him see. He walks back outside, and there surrounding the Elisha and his house, and up all on the hillside were chariots of fire and angels in full military garb. And he's like, okay, I get it. And what does Elisha do? He just walks out there, and the military Aramean army starts advancing. Boom, 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 boom. Here they are. They're coming to get Elisha. And Elisha says, Lord, strike them blind. Bam! The whole army is blinded. Right then. Just thought. Mention that. So, Herod is coming after Jesus, right? That's what they're telling me. They're coming, be aware, be scared. Herod's trying to kill you, right? Well, Jesus whatever. I ain't worried about that fool, Let him rattle his sabers all he wants to. God is in control. And I ain't falling for it, and I'm not going to get all worked up about it. God's in charge, and I know what my mission is, and I'm not going to be deterred Okay. So, opposed. Jesus was opposed from the very outset of his life. Remember how Herod was going to have him killed? Found out from the wise men when Jesus was supposed to have been born. He could have been the Messiah. They didn't know for sure. Herod certainly didn't know, but he was going to be darn sure he wasn't going to be competing with him for the throne. So he sent soldiers over to Bethlehem, and every kid under 2 years old, every boy was taken care of. I mean, so Jesus knows about opposition. He knows about what happens in high places and how armies can be dispatched to take care of stuff. The devil tempted him in the wilderness, right, for 40 days. We know that the Sanhedrin, the Jewish religious authorities, are constantly trying to trick Jesus to try to get him to say something that they can use against him so that they can have a trial and have him executed, right? I mean, so this is all going on. All this drama is constantly swirling around Jesus. Do y'all ever feel that way? Huh? You ever turn on CNN or Fox News? Do you ever hear about what's going on? Do you ever feel like, stuff is going on in your own life with your family? Quarrels and squabbles and da-da-da. Somebody's got cancer, heart disease, somebody's in a wreck. I mean, you get it, right? I mean, there's stuff happening, swirling all around us all the dang time. Guess what? We're going to have some of that. We're going to have that. We're going to struggle. We're going to have issues come up. And sometimes they it's like getting hit by a Mack truck. Right? I mean, yeah, we get it. Let me tell you something. Remember, well, most of us don't remember, probably, but we know that, what was Pearl Harbor? December the 7th. I always want to say the 6th for some reason. December the 7th, 1941, right? I mean, we were in this blissful, la-la land in America. And then whammo blammo, Pearl Harbor is bombed, and horribly, how many, I don't know how many, I'll forget the number of how many people died there. And so our nation was reeling for months after that, right? I mean, we were in a depression, national depression, I guess, if you will, as we tried to kind of marshal our forces, get cranked up and get our war machine kicked into high gear just from being in neutral. I mean, we were trying to get with it, and this happened in April. I believe it was maybe April the 18th of 1942. So what are we, 4 or 5 months later? You ever heard of Doolittles Raiders? It was a joint venture between, I believe, the Navy and the Army, and they loaded these airplanes, B-25s, on an aircraft carrier, and they stripped them of anything excessive weight, and they put extra gas tanks in there. I mean, they had put 5-gallon tanks of gas or fuel, whatever it was they were using, in there so that they could manually refuel the planes en route to Tokyo. Okay? Not that they were going to be able to just, get the enemy to submit, but it was a moral, it was something that we needed to do to boost the morale in the United States. We needed a victory. We needed something to help pick us up out of the miry clay, right? And so they got about 600 miles off the coast of Japan, and lo and behold, there's a fishing boat, a Japanese fishing boat. And they're like, oh no, we were supposed to get a lot closer. And they think they sunk the boat and all that. They think maybe they radioed ahead, that there's this aircraft carrier out here. So they made the decision to launch the planes right then. And they're like, you're not coming back. It's a one-way trip. And so they did. They launched 16 B-25s off that aircraft carrier with 5 men on each, and they went and they bombed the fool out of Tokyo. Different installations all in and around Tokyo, and the plan was to make it to mainland China and ditch the planes, bail out, ditch the planes. Maybe they'd make it, maybe not. Right? It was for some of them, it was a suicide mission. Some of them didn't make it. Some of them drowned in the South China Sea or whatever that body of water is there. I mean, some were taken prisoner by the Japanese and executed. I mean, some were put in or were taken prisoner and then spent the rest of the war in a prison camp. I mean, it was not pretty, but what that did turned the tide of the war, if you will. It boosted the American morale, and it caused the Japanese to say, we've been putting all of our forces out there to spreading out, to trying to take more land and all that, all across the Pacific. And there's like, maybe we need to bring some forces back to kind of have a perimeter around Japan. And you know what? Because they did that, our forces were able to advance in the Pacific, little by little, island by island, naval vessel by naval vessel, and eventually, y'all know the result. Churchill said this in a speech. This is before Pearl Harbor. In a speech to his old school where he had nearly flunked out. Now remember Churchill, right? Winston Churchill. Never give in. Never give in. Never, never, never. Never in nothing, great or small, large or petty. Never give in except to convictions of honor and good sense. Never yield to force, never yield to the apparently overwhelming might of the enemy. Never give up. Never give in. Never, never, never. Now, a word of caution here. This isn't just an admonition to be hard-headed and bone-headed about any and everything, right? I mean, not just for stubbornness' sake. I mean, we can all raise that flag, right? I mean, in a Christ-centered sense, it means to be resolute for God's sake, I think. To be determined, to be committed to Jesus Christ no matter what, and the cause of Christ, and not to be deterred from serving God, from doing that which God has called us to do, from taking that mantle forward and passing it on to the next generation, for holding the church together so that God can do something good and move the church somewhere, maybe even after we're gone. Was it not passed on to us? Yes. Let me pass there. Yes. So, I submit to you that God has a plan. He always has a plan. And it will be accomplished with us or without us.
Amen.
Okay? It's our choice to participate or not. If we say no, he's going to give it to somebody else. And they will step up. Somebody's going to step up. Because God's purposes are going to be accomplished. And this is where we should be willing to say, here am I, Lord, send me. Like old Isaiah, you know, is that vision in Isaiah 6 where he's like, God said, who will go for us? Who can we send and who will go for us? And Isaiah says, here I am, Lord, send me. Now it's easy, I'm going to say, the opposition would have you say, I ain't got time to do that. I don't have the money. I'm broke. I got this, that, and the other. I'm so busy, I don't know what to do. Fill in the blank, right? Excuses. If you run out, I've got a few. Okay, I can add to your list. I'm going to drop this in. Why don't you try it on Jesus and see if it works with him? Don't try it on me. I don't matter. It doesn't matter what I think about your unwillingness to do something. You try it on Jesus and see how he takes it. I'll tell you this one. I was telling this one to you this morning. You know, I looked around the congregation at Garrison here a couple of years ago, and I was like, these folks are getting older. Gosh, bum. Like, they're my friends, you know. I don't want to have to do their funerals. You know, I don't want to be the one. You know, I was whining. Okay, I was whining. And I said, Lord, I don't want to do that. I don't want to have to do that. I don't want to have to bury these folks. And this is what he popped right back. I mean, occasionally he will give me an answer. I wasn't looking for it. He said, okay, fine. Who do you want to do it then? And I said, okay, I get it. I don't want anybody else to do it but me. I'm the only one that loves them, you know, enough to do it the way I feel like it ought to be done. So, okay, I'll shut up, you know. So I'll submit that to you. You try it on God. You just might get an answer. Okay? All right, just saying. All right, so, okay. So here we go. Jesus, his head is set like flint for the cross. And that's basically what he tells those Pharisees that day. You go back and tell old Herod, you know, I'm going to be doing what I'm going to do because God's will is going to be accomplished. And on the third day, bam, you know, basically I'm going to rise from the dead. And it's going to change everything.
Amen.
Yeah. So do we believe that?
Yes.
Do we believe that really now? Okay, so what are we willing to do to see God's plan accomplished? What do you think God's plan is in this world? Let me ask that question to start with. It's the United Methodist motto. I'd say, make disciples for the sake of Jesus Christ. Everywhere, right? He told them that in Matthew 28. Go and make disciples. He told them in Acts 1. Go to the whole world, okay? Okay, so this is the part where y'all gonna run me off. All right. Okay. 35 years ago, thereabouts, I wasn't in church. I'll get back there. I'm sorry. 35 years ago, I was going to church on my couch, watching TV. Maybe some of y'all can relate to that. And I've continued to feel moved to do something, to participate in the Great Commission, right? I mean, I didn't really necessarily know that it was the Great Commission at that point in time, but I felt like the Spirit of God was trying to lead me to get involved in this thing called Christianity, a world movement, okay? And he led me, I feel like he led me to this one ministry. And you know what? My big contribution, again, I wasn't in church, so I wasn't affiliated with any church at all. It's called World Concern, okay? I don't think they even exist anymore. But I ended up sending to help feed the hungry kids in India, $25 a month, as I recall. It might have been 20. It wasn't any more than 25. I probably spent more on beer on one weekend than that. Can I say that? That was India, right? That's that. You see that? Today, 35 years later, I can point to these countries and say, I have skin in the game in these countries because I have participated, I've followed God's lead to get involved in ministries, 501c3s, seminaries that have ministries, making disciples for Jesus Christ, feeding the hungry, clothing the naked. And though I can point to those countries and say, yes, I have skin in the game. That's why I gave you this little thing. Okay, that little handout. This is some of those ministries that Kim and I have chosen to participate in individually, monetarily, prayerfully. I'm just saying, do you believe it? Do you believe God is going to come back in victory? Jesus Christ is going to come back to the Mount of Olives and stand there as the King of Kings and Lord of Lords and draw all of us to Him? Do you believe it?
Amen.
Do you believe He's going to reward those who have tried to diligently follow Him and His plan for reaching a lost world for the sake of His name? Do you believe it?
Amen.
I do. And I'm going to say to you, I was not trying to fill in the world map. It didn't even occur to me until this week, whenever I started working on this message, and I'm like, I started thinking about some of the ministries over the years that we've supported. Some of them I still support, some of them I don't. I mean, it's just, and it may not be big money, okay? And yeah, you're probably saying, well, you know, I'm trying to give to the church. Well, we want you to give to the church. You got to give to the church. We expect that. Let me tell you what Jesus says, and I have found it to be true. Luke 6:38. Given it will be given to you. Good measure will be shaken together. What does it say? I don't know. I forgot it. Given it will be given to you. a good measure, shaken together, and I don't know, basically filled to overflowing and dumped in your lap. It started with that $25 to World Concern. And I've supported the church too. Don't get me wrong. I support the church still. I mean, but over and above the church giving, we have given, this ain't all of them. This is just a sample, okay? And this is not, I'm not trying to brag on me. I'm trying to tell you, I've been pastor here for over 5 years, and I've never told y'all this. I've been at Garrison for 9 years, and I've never told them this. Christ is coming back in victory, right? And we don't need to have defeatist attitudes and just, dadgummit, do something. Write a check, say a prayer, contribute to the cause. A little asterisk, this is me personally. I may give a little bit here, yonder, somewhere to something that's not Christian. But if I'm going to make a commitment to something, it's going to first and foremost, it better be honoring Jesus Christ. And it better be bold about it. It doesn't need to be wishy-washy. I want it to be a bona fide Christian organization that is about proclaiming the good news and reaching those that don't know Jesus with the gospel. Period. I'm not giving something to somebody that's, they do good work. Well, let somebody else support them then. I'm supporting a Christian organization that is about taking the gospel to the world. You do what you want to do. That's my suggestion. I don't know if I should say this or not.
Say it.
Go ahead.
Since y'all are going to get rid of me anyway, you see Asbury Seminary on there, right? They have, a lot of these countries up here are colored in because of that. Because they have students from all over the world coming to Asbury, and they're getting a biblical education. And they're sent, most of them go back to their countries with a Wesleyan mindset and theology, and they take the gospel to the people, okay? Better than I could do if I went over there as a missionary, right? I mean, it's their own people, right, coming back. So that's one of those. Y'all know, but I don't want to beat the drum so much about the general conference just happened. Y'all, the traditional plan passed. Just FYI, you should know this, and you do whatever you want to do. The presidents of the 13 United Methodist seminaries wrote an open letter rebuking the General Conference for approving the traditional plan. Just so you know, Asbury was in support of the traditional plan because it's biblical. And it stands with 2,000 years of orthodoxy of the faith. I mean, I'm just letting you know. You do what you want to do. It's not a United Methodist seminary. It's a Wesleyan. So anyway, anyway, Bridges International. Let me just mention that. There's a young kid, Daisy, who we met at Bridges International stuff here at SFA. Came to SFA, studied. We met her, got to know her. She graduated, felt called to go to the University of Texas and work with Bridges International there. ministering to international students studying here. International students that come from all over the world to study here. And we get a little letter from her, and we send her a little something. And, you know, it ain't much. But you know what? We've got skin in the game at the University of Texas with international students studying from all over the world there. Thank God. I'm thankful for that. You know, I'm thankful for that opportunity. Wow. Now, yeah, I could say, I can't buy a case of beer this weekend because, you know, not that I would. Okay, I'm just saying. Or I can't go out to whatever. Oh, by the way, just so y'all know, yeah, this is a $100 shirt. I bought it used on eBay. That's how if I don't get it on fire sale, you won't see me wearing a Ralph Lauren shirt, just so you know. That's the only way I get one. It's either on fire sale or it's used. Somebody else's armpit spunk is already on it. So just saying. I'm not trying to. Okay. Back to Elisha. So Elisha is out there with this Aramean army, and they're all blind as a bat, you know. And he says, "Hey, y'all came to the wrong city." And they're like, "Okay, lead us to the right city." So he leads the Aramean army. I couldn't make this up. He leads the Aramean army to Samaria, the capital of Israel, into the city. And there they are, filling up the streets and all. And he says, "All right, Lord, open their eyes and let them see." And they're like, "Wait a minute, this is Samaria. What?" And the king of Israel comes running to Elisha and says, my father, should I kill him?" And he said, "No. Feed them and send them home." And so the king of Israel made a feast for the Aramean army. Fed them up good and sent them back home. And guess what? They didn't hear from the Arameans for quite some time after that. God is at work. I don't know. I mean, you may have a better way of trying to join him in what he's doing. That's one way. We can certainly pray for stuff. Pray for ministries. Pray for missionaries. Do that. Encore's on here. Look, I went to a presentation last summer, and First Methodist, matter of fact, some missionaries with the United Methodist Church in Laos. You heard of Laos, right? There's some lousy Christians over there. But the United Methodist Church has a mission church in Laos and Cambodia. Only just a few thousand members, but they're growing and they're needing some support. Prayer, certainly. Financially. You can go on there and you can make a one-time donation of $10 if you want to. And walk away from it and never worry about it again. I don't know. Or you can make a monthly thing. Whatever. I mean, I'm just saying, when I see Jesus, I want him to say, "Well done, good and faithful servant. You've been faithful with a few things. I'm going to make you ruler over many. Come into the joy of your Lord." I want to hear that. I don't want to be one who buried their treasure in the dirt and didn't do anything with it. Y'all have heard that story, right? I mean, it's in the Bible about when the owner comes back and says, "You worthless servant. Take what he had and give it to the one who had, was fruitful." Just saying. I started out with that 25 bucks. I can't tell you how much Kim and I give a month now. I'm not bragging. I'm just saying God has been good to us. Good to us. And I want to give back. I want to see just how much God will give us to give back. You trust Him. You stand, Malachi 3, bring all the tithes into the storehouse and see if a blessing, an unmeasurable blessing, I will not pour out on thee. There's a song about that we used to sing in the Baptist church. I'm ranting on and on. You can't outgive God. If you believe that He's coming back in victory, then give sacrificially, pray with all you got, and don't give up. Never give up. Never give in. You are going to have opposition. You're going to have stuff happen. Get up and go forward and serve God. That's all that matters in the end. All right, I'm going to shut up.